We're the guys from Loot Shooter Weekly. I am gamertag Burt Reynolds. That is the one and only Golden Voice Gaming. Negan
Hello,
Killjoy,
Bert.
ladies and gentlemen. Hello,
Thank you
Negan.
for the introduction, Bert. Happy Thursday to you again.
Happy Thursday to you as well, Negan. So normally on Thursday nights we do something, and we did a build video last week, and we came back this week to do a revision on it. So last week we featured the Rad Monster. This week, let a couple people play with it from one of the communities that we belong to, the Angelic and Beastly Creatures Discord. Let a couple people play with it. I've run it some more. A couple people I trust ran it and came back, want to make a couple minor adjustments to it in order to really optimize it. So we're going to re-go through it tonight. I'm going to call out what we changed because we're really trying to optimize this build. Again, the whole goal of this build is really twofold. I wanted to create a URAD or 5150 build that does not rely on a bloodletter comm or a deathless artifact. So I wanted to be able to have a build. Normally, if you're going to run URAD 5150 on Moze, you're going to run it with a deathless artifact and a bloodletter comm. And that works. You get a monster shield, but you have 1 HP, and everybody does it. It's like the standard, bloodletter build. I wanted to be able to pull in that bonus radiation damage into a build that can use any of the other comms. And that's kind of the second goal, is to be able to use any of the non-Iron Bear comms other than the bloodletter on this build so that you have a bunch of flexibility with the build. All that makes sense, Negan?
It does.
Okay.
And so you're hoping to get the stuff out of the build as opposed to just using the comms itself. You're going to use the skill tree and stuff to get to that point, so you have more options and more variety.
Yep. More variety. And I did this during when the level cap was 60, and it was still squishy. It was still squishy because you don't have the giant shield and you don't have health gate. There's a built-in mechanic in the game when your health bar gets to 50% that it gives you a couple seconds of immunity, just a couple seconds, maybe like half a second or a second to kind of adjust. It's called health gate, and it won't allow you to go from full health to down in one shot. And you can do things like put on a last stand auto idle, which gives you 5 seconds of immunity at 50% health. But if you have, in order to run 5150, you have to be below 50% health, which means you don't get the benefit of health gate. At level 60, we did this with a front loader shield, which reserves 60% of your health, giving you 40% health, and puts it into your shield. So that's how I did it at level 60. Now, you can do it also with Moze, and Moze is unique in this way. She is the only character in this game, because you can see Negan also right now is running URAD. He's running a Gamma Burst flak build. And his survivability actually comes from the fact that his pet distracts the enemies from shooting at him. That's how
right.
He gets around that. With Moze, you have a little bit less of that. I mean, you can stand up your mech, and the enemies will focus on the mech for a couple seconds. But you actually have to be able to sustain with Moze. And it's tricky. I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit tricky to do it. But that was my real objective with this build. Moze's skill tree is unique in that she can actually create the exact effect of a front loader in her skill tree without running a front loader. This opens up options with shields. Now, in the last patch, the only shield worth doing that with was the Old God. And I did that to some extent, but you would still end up with very little health.
But why would you use the Old God in that case?
Oh, just to bump the damage output.
Okay.
Because the Old God gives you bonus elemental. So if you put a radiation Old God on, it would enhance the radiation damage coming from the 50. Like the weapon anointment is, if you're under 50% health, you get 150% bonus radiation damage. It's bonus radiation damage, so it's a multiplier. Kind of like Zane's 100% cryo bonus cryo damage is a multiplier, not an additive. So it's very strong. It's a very strong damage output source. But
that makes sense.
The big problem in all of this is that even if you are not at 1 HP, like Deathless, and the Deathless artifact, what it does is it basically gives you 100% shields and trades it out for the fact that you have 1 HP. So you get you take an old god that's got a pretty high capacity, you slap on a Deathless, and you're going to have... I put a Deathless build together earlier this week, and I had 136,000 shield. It's overkill.
Jesus.
Way
Slightly.
overkill. Yeah.
Just a touch.
That's overkill. I mean, that's not min-maxing, right? Like, you don't need that much shield. The only things that are going to kill you at that point are going to go past your shield, like you're going to be standing too close to a barrel, or you're going to step in a puddle of elemental sludge, and you're going to down yourself. The real thing then becomes, well, if I'm going to have a health pool, it needs to be a health pool that's big enough for me to actually heal it. Because if I can't heal that health pool, and Moze benefits from the fact that she gets healing from throwing grenades, but if you only have a health pool of like 8,000 health or 9,000 health, you don't have enough health to actually heal that. Like, you can take damage that's bigger than your ability to sustain a heal. DLC 4 dropped, and a new shield came out called the Plus Ultra, and it has an unwritten trait in it that gives you a bonus 20% health. So just a flat rate 20% bonus health. And that allows you to have a lot more health than you normally would. So when we go into this build, you can see my health bar already on the screen, right? I've got roughly 60,000 shields and 26,000 health, which is more health than half of my tunes have when they're at full health. That's coming from that shield.
Okay. Gotcha.
So when we go into the build, I'm going to show the skill tree, and I'm going to talk about what I've done. I often talk about how I have a standard blue skill tree. Any Moze build, in my opinion, should have this exact blue skill tree. I don't think there's any other good option you could put together. Some people may or may not want auto bear. I think if you don't want auto bear, my personal opinion is you're wrong, unless you're running a bear build. The reason is...
How do you really feel, Burt? How do you really feel? Don't be obtuse.
I just think you're wrong, because the auto bear, especially with the double nukes on it, is a great source of additional damage. So I put 5 into the Skag Den for the bonus incendiary damage. I put 3 into Means of Destruction for the splash damage that's going to add my ammo back. It's going to give me ammo sustain, and it's going to give me back grenades. I've got 5 into torque cross promotion, which is going to help me enhance the splash damage and the splash damage radius. I have 3 into pull the holy pin, which allows my grenades to crit. Auto bear, again, I feel like it's a necessity. Vampire is what's going to give me healing from my grenades. And then I have 3 points up here that I can always come back and put into Grizzled. This is what's going to give me back the Iron Bear after I've hopped out of it to get the Auto Bear. And it's, it's just, that's in my opinion, of the 2 options, you can go with Explosive Punctuation, or you can go with Grizzled. Grizzled's the better option for getting the bear back. And finally, I have Short Fuse. So I capstone this one, and it allows for a secondary explosion with 75% of the gun damage I've dealt. This is a very strong skill. It dips into mayhem scaling. It does a lot of damage. In the green tree, and this is where the revisions... Well, I'll cover the red tree first, because the revisions came in the green tree. I'm going to go 5 into Iron Infantry. This is going to give me damage reduction and increase my gun damage when my shields are full. My shields are not always going to be full, but it's still worth it to put it here, because that's how I'm going to move down the tree. I have 5 into Drowning in Brass. This is actually going to slow the rate of fire down and trade it out for additional damage. We'll see in a little bit. I'm going to gain that fire rate back. This is Thin Red Line. This is what allows you to turn any shield into a front loader. So 3 points into this means I'm going to remove 60% of my health and add it to my shields, just like a front loader. And finally, I've got experimental munitions to, again, enhance the incendiary damage that I'm churning out.
Okay.
In
Sounds
this tree, where the revisions came in, put 5 into Cloud of Lead, bonus incendiary damage. Every 4 shot doesn't consume ammo. Stoke the Embers, again, more incendiary damage. Redistribution, when I score a critical hit, which I'm going to score a lot with my grenades, I'm going to regen ammo and health. This is the first revision. We put 5 into Scrappy. I am moving a lot with this build because if I stand still too long, I do take a lot of, I can take a lot of damage, and I'm going to be on the move. Here I'm picking up another 30% weapon damage. Russian offensive is going to help me heal while I'm moving.
So you said that's a revision. So you've added that as opposed to the other builds.
Last time I think I had 2 into Scrappy.
Okay,
I sold out into it. Yep.
Okay.
I put 1 into Russian offensive this time, which I think I did last time actually. I put less into scorching RPMs this time, and my comm is different. My comm now is a 5 into scorching RPMs. Last time I had a 3 into Iron Bank, 5 into scorching RPMs. That's a revision we made. We made that revision on the comm because we weren't having issues with ammo sustainment. 5 into the Iron Bank, and I think I even called this out in the last video. 5 into the Iron Bank is overkill if you're going to use splash weapons. If you're going to use non-splash weapons like Jacob's guns, then you need more. If possible, you would want more than 5 into the Iron Bank. But here I put basically 1 into scorching RPM, and the rest of that is coming from the comm, and that's basically going to allow me to negate the slowdown in fire rate that's coming out of drowning in brass. I then put 5 into the Iron Bank, and finally 2 into click click. I'm always torn on click click because click click, you get more damage the lower your mag goes. If you're sustaining a bunch of ammo all the time, which Moze does fantastically, your mag doesn't really deplete that much. But you'll see when we get to the gear this time, we also made a gear revision to the pistol that I'm running. We switched the pistol I'm running to a beacon from the prompt critical. And the beacon will start to run low on ammo, and it will be able to dip into click click. So, that's a good call. I have the points, I might as well use them.
Makes sense. But for generally speaking, we've talked about this numerous times with Moze, and you just mentioned it, doesn't necessarily dip into ammo shortage at that much. So you're just kind of doing it for the pistol.
No, and you'll get some, or launchers. There's if I use when I use my launcher, this benefits it. You get some damage effect all the time from this, so I don't want to undersell it. It is a good skill. It's just not. If I was running down to empty a lot, this would be a great skill to really heavily invest in, right? Or if I were able to sustain my ammo at the bottom of a magazine, that would also be a very good skill to invest in. As it is, it's a good skill to invest in, but it's not fantastic. It's not a necessity. I could take these 2 points if I needed them somewhere else and use them somewhere else. This is where we're putting them. Again, maximizing damage output. So that was the skill tree. This is the gear. We're going this time with a dangerous beacon, a 2x, a shock and corrosive. We're going with a shock and corrosive flipper. The flipper is going to be my main gun. I've got a 2x ferocious ogre. Love this gun. My favorite assault rifle on Moze, other than maybe the rebound, which I also love. And then we've got a major Kong, which is going to be our launcher for bossing.
And talk about, why do you like the ogre so much as an assault rifle? And the rebound, why do you like those so much?
They do a ton of splash damage, so they just give you tons of grenades and ammo back. I mean, they're bullet hoses, literally.
Nice.
And, the flipper is the king of the bullet hoses for Moze. Like this thing, I can just fire this thing all day long. As long as I'm hitting stuff and making splash damage, it never runs out of ammo. No. The only 2 assault rifles I've ever found that are equal to that are the ogre and the rebound. The rebound's new. And I chose to go with the ogre because it's tried and true, and it gives you back a ton of ammo and grenades. And at the time when I put the build together, I did not have a URAD rebound. The other reason I went with the ogre, and this is a pretty good one, The rebound is a lot of fun. It actually churns out more damage than the ogre. The one trick with the rebound is COV weapon, and so it does overheat on Moze. It does overheat. Moze's skills that give you infinite ammo do not prevent COV weapons from overheating. It's fun to run. I boss with it on this build. If I'm going in to do some bossing, that's the gun I'm going to put on. I'm going to put on. I think I have one right over here. I'll just show it to you. Yeah, see, I'm going to throw on one of these rebounds, and that's going to be the bossing assault rifle. But if I'm mobbing, this is the gun because ammo sustainment. I'm going to show that piece last. I'm running a level 1 cloning matting tracker with shock damage ASE. If I'm mobbing, I'm going to run shock damage ASE. If I'm bossing, I'm going to put on grenade throw. The reason is the shock damage, I'm going to be in and out of my bear a lot when I'm mobbing. So I'm always going to be getting that bonus 50% shock damage. If I'm bossing, I'm going to be throwing grenades all the time. I'm going to be throwing grenades all the time no matter what. But that's 25% more gun damage, and it's additive. I prefer to go the route of adding the element of shock. And I could throw a different element in there. Again, the more elements you combine, the better. Pearl of Ineffable Knowledge, I went for one with max health. This is one of the sources where I'm getting that additional health from. The Green Monster, again, we went exact same passives as last time. This time it's just 5 into scorching RPMs. And then we have a multivitamin plus ultra. So I get the 20% health from plus ultra and then another 25% health from the double health roll on this. After exiting Iron Bear, I get 75% increased shields for 25 seconds. This shield's amazing. This shield is the key to this build. And it is it's so valuable. This shield is probably the most valuable shield, the Plus Ultra, that Moze has ever had. And you could take this exact shield with these exact rolls and run just a standard splash damage, like Bullet Hose Moze build. It's great even on a Iron Bear build, although the anointment you would probably want there would be skill cooldown. But man, the health. When I pop up my Iron Bear in a minute when we show you the gameplay, look at how much shield that Iron Bear has. That's all coming from this multivitamin plus ultra. I do have a second.
The good news is the plus ultra does drop quite a bit in DLC, unlike other stuff. But we did discover the shield does drop quite a bit, so it's easy to farm for.
Which is
kind of nice.
Yes. So the other nice thing, and this was the other objective of this build, right? The other objective was being able to run any comm other than the Bloodletter would be effective. And so you can run it with the Blastmaster. We can run it with the Sapper, and I frequently run it with the Sapper when I'm mobbing. Extra health sustainment. The Sapper will feed that giant health bar, and so that really makes you tanky. I have a couple different versions of that. The Minesweeper, if I'm going to go do some bossing, this is a fantastic choice. The Minesweeper wrecks bosses if you can hit crits. And so, again, I can trade out for any of these comms. Blastmaster, Sapper, Minesweeper, Green Monster. So we're going to show you some gameplay right now with the Green Monster that I'm running, and then I'll switch to the Sapper comm, and we'll show you some gameplay of that. And I think you'll just see that it's a really strong build. You will notice I play back a little bit with it. The one difference between this and, say, a Bloodletter build with the giant shield, I am not going to get in their face. Why? Because my own splash damage is my worst enemy, as it always is.
Because it bypasses your shields.
So I'm just going to play back a little bit. The beautiful thing is the Flipper is able to throw damage a long distance. And so I don't have to get up close. And of course I can just, I can pitch around those level 1 grenades like however much I want. They aren't going to hurt me because they're level 1.
So that's why you went with
farming
level 1.
that.
So you're not going to want to go for a higher level grenade. You just want to go for level 1 just because of
the
damage
lowest
doesn't hurt
possible. The lowest possible cloning matting tracker you can get your hands on, the better. because the grenade damage won't hurt you. And again, as we've always discussed, Moze is her own worst enemy. Nobody hurts Moze more than Moze hurts Moze, and so that pretty much goes for any non-bear build, right? Like if you're running I forget, man, I'm so bad. I don't really run bear builds. Bear trooper build, or you're running, I think it's a raging bear. I mean, obviously that's a different story, right? Like Moze is gonna be in her bear almost all the time. She's not gonna hurt herself in there.
Right.
But if you are running anything other than a bear build, you're gonna hurt yourself. So I'm gonna put on the sapper comm, and you're gonna see we're not really gonna lose a lot of damage here. We're gonna lose the corrosive damage, and so we lose 5% damage that's coming to us from Harmageddon, and we lose the bonus corrosive damage. It is some, so the build is not gonna slay quite as hard, quite as fast. But if you were gonna go do something like a takedown, although the green monster is so good in the Malawan takedown, I would have a hard time trading that out. The green monster is just so good there. But if I'm going to go do the Guardian takedown, if I'm going to go do Slaughter Star or Slaughter Shaft, the Sapper's a good choice because, again, like I'm just going to heal that. I'm going to heal that giant 28k health bar all day long now because I'm just constantly shooting. And it's not to say nothing could down me at this point. There's stuff that can down me. My own stupid decision to stand too close to a barrel, stepping into a giant puddle of elemental sludge will do it. But as long as I'm shooting and throwing grenades, chances are I'm going to stay alive. And if I again, I don't want to get like right in their face because I am churning a ton of splash damage, like a ton. See there, I stood way too close to a giant puddle of elemental damage. And that will get me for a second. All right. Ooh. Man, the damage output.
And as we've talked about numerous times and many times before, all the builds, we're both in this. This is procced for 2 players, but all the shooting and damage is being done by you, so I'm not shooting anything. I think I shot one guy back here once, but you're doing all the work.
You get to just come along for the ride, which is fun. Although I will say your pet is helping out. Thanks, little Negan's pet. You're the bestest.
I can't prevent her from helping out too much.
And that's really, I mean, that's the build. I don't want to, belabor the point. That's the build. But again, if I were, and just for the heck of it, right? Like, I'll just quickly throw on a minesweeper. There's another room just around the corner here. So if I throw on a minesweeper comm, fully do this with minesweeper comm. If I want, I can switch it out for a blastmaster comm.
So definitely some versatility.
And that is like legitimately, that's the goal, man. The goal is just to have a truly versatile URAD build. That was genuine, and you can see how fast the mine. It's just gonna tear it up. I'm honest. Minesweeper is definitely the best single point of damage. If I can get zeroed in on crits, it's great on bossing. So I did that, switch out for that. Now again, I could just as easily hop over here to the Blastmaster and go to the next area. It's like literally
like
it doesn't matter which one of the comms I put on. It is totally agnostic. I'm always getting that damage bump of URAD, and I'm able to, I don't want to sell it for more than it is. I am not the tankiest. This is not the tankiest build ever. You will be in fight for your life every once in a while, like any other tune. I mean, I think the part of the problem is when you play Moze a lot, you begin to get this expectation, especially if you play a deathless build with a giant 130k shield, that you're just always going to be behind the giant shield. And those builds are strong. The damage output on a deathless build is typically just going to be a little lower. You're going to be able to do a ton of sustained fire, but it is typically a little lower damage output. Or you run the splash damage build, but then you're never going to be able to run the Pearl. You're probably going to have to run an auto idol, last stand auto idol. You're probably going to have to run a front loader, or not front loader, stopgap, because you're going to hurt yourself. And this is just a great way to get the URAD damage in while still getting all the other damage sources that you would normally get in a splash damage build. So, but the trade is every once in a while you are going to end up on the ground.
So the previous build, the version 1 of this build, you actually used to refer to it as Fight for Your Life build. It's because you were there a lot more in Fight for Your Life mode. You're definitely not there now as much.
No, and that was, I mean, again, that was really because the only option to do last patch was either to 3-point thin red line and put on an old god, or to run a front loader with no points into thin red line. And that works. It works great, but you end up with a health bar that is 8,000 health. And there's no possible way that Vampire can heal 8,000. I mean, there's a lot of points of damage in this game that do 8,000 health or 8,000 health worth of damage in a hit. So There was literally no way to heal yourself at all. You know, no matter how quick you're throwing grenades, which I will point out, I mean, you can look how fast I'm getting those grenades back, right? Like I can literally just spam I'm chucking grenades every couple seconds and I get them right back. But yeah, I mean, the trick was with that really low health bar, which even at max out, if you had a perfect old god, like let's say you had a multivitamin old god, then you'd have a 50,000 shield, not even, last patch, because obviously things have gotten stronger since last patch. So maybe you had a 40,000 shield, maybe you had 13,000 health, and you couldn't heal through the damage. This, I am able to heal through it. You can see how well I'm healing through it. And the best part about the Plus Ultra Negan is, unlike every other shield that you would normally run on Moze, Old God, Transformer, they all have really slow recharge rates and recharge delays, like 6-second recharge delay. You got to not take damage for 6 seconds. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then they have a recharge rate of like 2,000. So in the last patch, if you decide to go the thin red line route with an old god, you had the shield that once it was down, it wasn't coming back. And then you were living on 8,000 health for a long time, or trying to, where almost any enemy could hit you with a couple shots and you were down. The Plus Ultra is also super quick recharge delay and recharge rate. So there's that.
Pluses. Nice.
I am going to pop on, and then we're going to be done for tonight, but I am going to pop on the Minesweeper again because we're going to go boss here. And I'm going to run the Ogre for this, just to show it off.
Okay, let's do it.
Hey there, Trant. So here I need to be hitting him, up in the, he got me with this stupid ice shield. Hate that ice shield. So I need to get around to the backside of him, and then I should be able to just burn him here. Provided, yeah, he's doing a great job rotating on me tonight. Oh, there we go. There they are.
Yeah.
There's the crit chain.
I was going to say, so there's so much for that. He's doing a great job for you.
Yeah, if you can get a crit chain going on him, he's done. And the ogre is a great gun for putting that crit chain together. So just because it throwing so much lead out. And that's the build, Negan. That is the build. So so Rad Monster version 2.1. Again, thanks to the guys from Angelic and Beastly Creatures for their input. Love community input on builds. It's quite the blessing. And we'll always post the skill tree with this. So I'll put together a revised skill tree and we'll post it with this. And with that, I think that's a wrap, man.
I think that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Good job.
But you still have to say see ya. I mean, that's
no, I know. Not a full wrap until I say that. So no, good job on the build. Nice little tweak. I like it. And on that note, see ya.